May only be 2.1 miles long, but this is a Formula One driver's Everest, and they want to climb it. They live on their wits and their instincts. They can recycle the power steering. It's electronic, as you say, and Vettel then doing the required number of burnouts. There's Jensen to our right on the left-hand side of the grid. They say that the right-hand side of the grid is worth a clue. Lewis was asleep there and not expecting that from Schumacher, who had a very bad start from 5th, now retakes at 9th place.
I've been hit by Schumacher. I might have a flat tyre. Right rear.
Okay, understood, Lewis. We'll check it out now.
They can see, of course, the tyre pressures are beamed back with another 140 channels of information back to the pit.
And crucially, just talking about that gap that Vettel has over Button, it's 3.2 seconds. He's well clear for that DRS activation point. Not that we think that that is going to play such a strong part in this race, but nonetheless, once again going purple in his first sector, Sebastian Vettel is just absolutely romping away at the front.
Going purple means he's set the fastest first sector
And wing.
And as it says on the computer here, cars 20 and 23 missed the first corner. There's an easy sort of alpine pass up the inside there, if you like, and that's Kovalainen and Liuzzi, who did not take the first corner of the race. Don't think they'll be penalised unless it was clear they made a place. So on board then.
Behind and where the clear gaps are.
So this is how much then Lewis Hamilton's afternoon was compromised. But actually, this scenario started yesterday afternoon, didn't it, when they decided to go out late for one run, got traffic, although I don't actually believe he did have traffic really. Massa was sort of on the horizon, but he wasn't exactly in the way, was he? Then the red flag when they tried to go again. Then he didn't get a lap in at the end without going through the wide open down, which is why I think he ends up closer through Saint-Devote and climbing the hill. And I think as of the next race in Canada, where I think DRS is going to be hugely successful, they're going to use it twice per lap. Then we're going to see some action. But so Michael Schumacher then seems to have all the bases covered, and at this time Barrichello's
well, it's so difficult for Lewis Hamilton in this situation, because all the time he's behind Michael, he's losing downforce, his temperatures are increasing, the effects of the brake temperature as well, and of course he'll be getting extremely hot and bothered under that safety suit and crash helmet. So he knows he needs to be able to get by Michael. He's either got to force him into a mistake or slip it down the inside, and one or two of the only
pit wall, because that needed to be done, and well done it was too.
It was fantastic. A round of applause from his team, a round of applause from up here in the commentary box, because that is a very difficult corner to make a pass stick, but he made it quite clear, I'm coming through. Caught Michael a little bit napping. I think Michael was probably sighting the braking zone here, not believing that he would have a go up the inside. Look, he turns in not knowing he's there. Michael Schumacher is currently 30 seconds from the leader.
Well, Michael Schumacher very slow still at the moment, now nearly 4 seconds off the lead. Did probably include that pass on that lap, but Nico Rosberg then is similarly in the sister Mercedes, got a queue of cars behind him in Massa, Maldonado and Petrov, and so it seems as if the Mercedes cars are working those rear tyres.
You can get a spotter hanging over the wall down to the chicane before Raskas, looking to see if there's any damage to the car.
Yeah, well, they appear, I mean, we cut to it quite late, but they appeared to be, look at Massa fishtailing and desperately trying to get 750 horsepower into the tarmac here at Monaco, as he's getting frustrated then, pushing the curves button as well, no doubt. It's in the middle of the track, and this is brave driving from Felipe Massa. So we are seeing more tyre degradation than we imagined. It is generating passes yet again. And look, he somehow keeps it out of the barriers on the outside. And that is a very important move for him. He's P5, but he's half a minute off the lead already, Felipe Massa. Now he has to get his head down and get on with it.
Yeah, and we can see
Button, meanwhile, is absolutely flying out of there. He's got a chance now to get into the lead of this Grand Prix. Mark Webber's afternoon, if it's not wrecked, it's been severely hampered. There's no doubt about that. And Alonso leads the Grand Prix then on lap 17. Have Red Bull shot themselves in the foot? Ferrari getting ready to receive one of their drivers. Is it Alonso? Very cautious, Fernando Alonso. Button then moves into lap 19, and his lead, it's a 1:18.0. His lead is 6.2 seconds over Vettel. And so we know he was second, but Alonso now 9 seconds behind, 5 seconds slow on that lap. I know it's his out lap, but the tyres should have been fully up to temperature. They come out of the blankets at about 100 degrees centigrade. We're doing a big feature on that. They've got a reasonable pace, but somehow Ferrari never quite like to go. They seem to work better on the softer compound tyres, don't they?
Well, I wonder if that's why we saw Alonso being so cautious on that outlap. You were absolutely right. It was like he was going out on completely cold tyres. He had no confidence in his turning.
Like the first lap of the weekend, wasn't it? And it was so cold. 21.8, quite a bit off the leaders, but they're on fresh tyres now. And still Button is flying. Remember, of course, he is on the super soft tyre, so he needs to pull a gap out in this phase of the Grand Prix, but it's now 9.7 seconds the lead. So it's interesting that McLaren have gone a different way to Red Bull and Ferrari. McLaren have gone off it and recover anything.
It's almost like the teams have been enjoying that day off, that day of rest on Friday.
And he comes out
partying, yeah.
He comes out right behind Mark Webber, who similarly had a "Where's my tyres, please?" And Nico Rosberg then. And of course that's for track position, isn't it? Because Rosberg pitted early. So did we expect, they're not brand new tyres, but they were brand new primes that went on Vettel, but used stickier tyres on Button. He's a second of that faster.
Well, in qualifying, the offset between the prime and the option was over a second, depending on the car. We were expecting that offset would reduce if you were going from a scrub to scrub tyre, but nonetheless...
10 seconds of the lead, then Massa's yet to stop, Petrov yet to stop, as has Barrichello in 6th, Kobayashi 7th, Sutil 8th, Heidfeld 9th, Buemi 10th. All of them yet to stop. And then it's Webber and Hamilton 11th and 12th. Di Resta didn't appear to, he just pitted actually, so it's Al Jaswari, Rosberg, Schumacher, Trulli D'Ambrosio,
Sebastian Vettel in Barcelona, but I think it's just down to the individual drivers. As you know, Martin, your team can be on the radio as much as you like, but if you just are in that zone, then you have a choice of whether you make it easy or not for the car behind you.
Tough for Alan McNish, very good friends with Paul Di Resta. He's the driver steward this weekend, one of the 4 people who would have signed off that penalty on it. Thank you very much. So Webber then has not had a free pass through the Toro Rosso, and they remain in 8th and 9th place. Buemi 8th, Webber 9th, Massa 10th, Hamilton 11th, Maldonado 12th after that stop. Slightly out of position now because we've got...
McLaren is very quick out there. It's been the quickest car once Button's been running in fresh air. And once again we're seeing that, how can we really explain to the public that the Red Bull is unquestionably the quicker car in qualifying, but in race trim it doesn't seem to be able to maintain that pace? Is it Kerr's issues? That's still worth 2 or 3 tenths of a second. Is there
now we've got Massa off the road, probably some suspension damage or something from that contact.
That's the entry of chicane, yeah.
Safety car has to go out, so Felipe Massa then, having had that contact, has gone straight into an accident which suggests possible suspension damage.
Well, not just that. If we saw Paul Di Resta get the drive-through penalty for causing an unavoidable collision, we have to presume the same will be the case for Lewis Hamilton. Know that the stewards are listening to the radio communications. Yeah. I think that, you know, Lewis is entitled to his opinion, but in fairness, as you said earlier, Martin, it's sort of not quite 50-50 in these situations. You put your car there and you need a little bit of understanding from the car in front. You know, at best that was a racing incident, but you've got to say that Lewis passing his teammate in China, and then that's the aftermath of that particular incident.
His right front wing there, which touched Webber, was all pretty much intact from what you could see, so I think it was purely that he got out on the marbles. I don't think the car let him down there, and of course, you know, that's a much stronger feature this year, isn't it? But it's always been dirty on the outside of the tunnel, has it not?
Always. You don't want to be off the race.
The pace setter after the safety car takes to the pit lane, and how far down is Button? There he is. So he's got a bit of work to do, hasn't he, to get through that traffic. Sutil is right in there as well for Force India. So that's worked out very well for him in the safety car phase. Up the hill then, Petrov and 10th. So we got an investigation which is between 3 and 6, which is Hamilton and Felipe Massa. Do you think Lewis Hamilton's going to get a penalty for that, David?
Well, unfortunately for him, it doesn't look too much different to the Paul Di Resta incident. He's gone inside, he's gone up over the curb, and technically caused an avoidable accident.
Carrying on in fourth, having made one stop under safety car conditions. Then Kobayashi, Webber 6th, Hamilton 7th, Maldonado 8th, Petrov 9th, and there is Webber with Hamilton all over the back of him again. And in front of them for position then, they've got Kobayashi and Sutil before they can start thinking about a podium.
Stops on lap 15 and lap 33 and put on the option on both. So just to confirm, he does still need to run the slower soft tyre. So that might put in something into your minds as to whose seats you rather be in. Button is on the quickest tyre that he's going to be able to use in the race now. And as for Fernando Alonso, who's looking very good, he stopped on lap 17 and...
Vettel's engineer said, right, you've got a hard 10 laps ahead of you as Mark Webber shapes up for a pass on Kobayashi. That's over 5th and 6th. I think they've got to stay out. As I said, they've got to stay out and wreck Button's tyres, haven't they? It's their only way. If they pit now, Jensen on those tyres will just take off like a scolded cat and he'll have the race won. So they've got to keep Vettel out. I think that's confirming what we were just saying, David. And they hear the radio messages just like we do. And that is not the news that Jensen wanted to hear, is it?
It's not, but there's one thing, he's highly motivated to get win number 2 around here, and we have Sebastian Vettel highly motivated to get win number 1. This could be a classic. Are
we going to see more broken carbon fibre then? So
are out in the pit lane for Jensen Button now with the soft tyre that he has to run. Let's see if Red Bull react. No, they're not going to. They're not going to. That's interesting. The Red Bull mechanics have come out into the pit lane. They're not going to react. So Jensen really needs to pump in a time here, and then that's also a very good chance he's got to win a race. Only chance, really.
Well, yellow will not be his.
He's used all the tyres that he needs to use, the hard and the soft, the harder and the softer in this race. If he can make this set of tyres last, then he can win the race. So that's who Red Bull have to worry about now.
They do indeed. So it's a 3-horse race now for the victory and the 3 podium places. Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso and Jensen Button, and it is really all almost in clock with suspension problems. I'll give you a quick run through of those 20. It's Vettel, Alonso, Button 3rd, Sutil 4th, Kobayashi 5th, Mark Webber 6th, Maldonado 7th, Petrov 8th, Hamilton 9th, Heidfeld 10th, and still Vettel does not pit. And Buemi, Barrichello, Al-Jaswari, Rosberg, Di Resta, Koval,
Alonso, so they're all going to be running nose to tail very quickly. Is there any traffic between them? Let's just check our circuit tracker here. We've got Vettel, we only have Carthagena and Hispania between Alonso and Button. He'll get out of the way. So these guys will be running nose to tail. We see Jensen Button coming through the chicane. We've got Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso just entering the last part of the swimming pool.
But we've seen
this Grand Prix finished. They won't have many left, actually.
So is Jensen going to get another message then saying...
Well, we have... Who is that from Red Bull in the pits?
Mark Webber.
We've got Mark Webber.
Ready, the team were ready for him that time. So Webber pitted from what was 7th place, so that's some 70 seconds off the lead, which means that they're not too far away from having to yield to the leaders. That'd finish Lewis's day off, wouldn't it, when he has to get out of the way because he's blue flagged. What kind of pace have they got there? They got 1:19s, similar sort of pace to the leaders. They might be okay. We'll have a look. Themselves a handful. Ted.
Just to remind you, Martin, and we'll wait to hear from McLaren after the race, but they were reacting to the Virgin stopping Timo Glock with a suspension failure, and I do believe in retrospect that they thought that it might be a safety car for that, and they pitted them after they saw that Virgin car stop in anticipation of a safety car. And it was only just half a lap
around here, but the man at the front has not, surprisingly, and they're ever closer. This is supreme sporting skill, guiding these cars in such close company between the barriers, especially when your tyres are absolutely worn out, as they are with Vettel.
This reminds me so much of the year that Ayrton Senna had Nigel Mansell.
David.
Well, you're aware on your peripheral vision of cars behind you. You have to be. The mirrors are positioned so when you glance at them, you know what's going on. But he'll only have a key look on areas like as he comes out of the last corner, maybe a little glance there on the run down to the hairpin. Certainly just before he enters the kink in the tunnel, because he knows if they're not close as they approach the kink, it's unlikely.
Again, with that traction, Vettel's so quick off the corner, and that might just save his race.
There's a long way to go yet.
There is indeed. 13 laps, including this one. But if he can just keep getting off the corners, if he doesn't fall off the edge of the grip that we've heard so much about, right on him. Jensen should have been right on him to punish that. But unfortunately, he was a little bit behind. But I always think that it's not just a question of not gaining a place. You fail to lose a place as well, don't you, in some situations like that. But I agree with you. I can't see the stewards being at all unhappy about that. And a slight breathing space for the leader, Sebastian Vettel. He's 6'10". I think the marshals are too good here. So obviously, in that melee, somebody ran into the back of Lewis Hamilton.
But it makes sense for the team to leave him out until such time as you're told otherwise. Let's
see what's going on then. We've got Suttil in the foreground here, Maldonado. You've got Hamilton and Petrov side by side into to back corner. Behind them, Al Jaswari. So it's Suttil gets wide into the barrier, and that's what triggered the multiple incidents. Vettel leads from Alonso. Button third, Kobayashi fourth, Webber fifth, Maldonado sixth. Seventh is Lewis Hamilton, limping along with a broken rear wing. Suttil is showing in eighth place. Hide the line. Look at the debris on the side of the racetrack. Extraordinary. The tyre marbles. That's Nico Rosberg in the pack, but he's down in 12th place. So who else is in there? D'Ambrosio and Di Resta are in the pack, as is Karthikeyan. So Mark Webber, who's right behind Kobayashi, and they've got a lot of traffic in front of them.
Not out as yet. There'll certainly be waved yellows down there.
Williams so desperately need those points. Barrichello's in the points run, but only in the tail end of the scoring. So there's no sign of a safety car yet. They've done a magic.
They do have a big crane there, Martin, so that's probably why.
Do you think they've pulled that out of the way? Great work then. So Vettel leads by half a second. The barriers were obviously okay and in one piece, and we're going to see the full 78 laps in this Grand Prix. Well, let's hope anyway, without any further incident, but I don't think they've got any way now of any answer to Vettel's pace with those fresh set of tyres on. So it worked so brilliantly for them, DRS. And Jensen Button, who put on a supreme display of driving skills this afternoon. We're waiting now for Mark Webber, who's coming towards Raskas after an opportunistic pass, nearly plants it in the barriers at the exit of Raskas. Drives for the line for a well pace. He's just somehow or other not working. It's not working well over a race distance, as we see the podium, the three men